What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cafecito and Kane show. We are 7-0. That's right, 7-0. We are more than halfway through the season, still undefeated. We have now gone past my first loss and my preseason prediction. I had us losing this game going into the season, but we win it. We outlast Louisville in a shootout. We're going to go into it now, but that was a big one. That was a big one against, in my opinion, a very good football team, a very good offensive football team that gets a lot of big plays. So getting that win was big. We are now ahead of my prediction from earlier this season. So please, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments, thoughts on the game, things you want me to go over, all that good stuff. Robbie, yes, 7-0 never looks so good. Yeah. Oh, no, we'll get into the hate also. Lots of cover. FSU's next. And yes, I will be at the FSU game for sure. But let's talk about this. So Miami wins a shootout again against what I think is a very good Louisville team, the toughest team we have faced so far this year, in my opinion. Mainly because of how dangerous their offense is, what a good play caller Jeff Brom is, the fact that it was on the road. This was, aside from maybe the Swamp Week 1, this was probably our toughest test of the season. But we outlast them. We put 52 points on them. They got 45. Honestly, that last touchdown was in garbage time. Once we scored that last touchdown of ours to ice it, the game was pretty much a wrap. It would have looked a lot better for optics if we just kept them out of the end zone at the end of the game. That last drive was, of course, extended by a BS pass interference call or a defensive holding call, whatever it was. That the ball was totally uncatchable, ticky-tack at best. But when it's 15 to 20 yards over the dude's head, isn't that the rule that you're not supposed to call anything, I guess, unless it's completely egregious, which it was not. But the refs extended that drive and eventually they scored, but there was no time left. We got the onside kick and that was it. This was not nearly the nail biter that the other couple of games have been, that it just came down to the absolute wire. When Damian Martinez scored his touchdown to make it a 2-touchdown lead with like 2 minutes to go or something, it was over. The game was a wrap. So you look at the final score, it's a little deceiving. I thought it was a little bit more of a decisive win there at the very end than people will give it credit for. I think, we kind of were pulling away there. But first off, let's talk on the positives, the offense. It wasn't just Cam Ward, although he had a sensational day. The entire offense showed up yesterday. The defense, not so much, and the special teams, not so much. But let's talk on the offense first. Let's start with the positives. As a team, Miami had 538 total yards to Louisville's 448. Now, allowing 448, got to work on that. But again, this was a very explosive team we were going up against. Ja'Cory Brooks was one of the best wide receivers we've faced this year. He got his, as I was expecting. But obviously, you got to continue working on cleaning stuff up on the back end. We had 319 yards passing, 219 yards on the ground. So again, it wasn't all Cam. We had over 200 yards rushing. A big part of that was Damian Martinez. And 2 for 2 on fourth down conversions. That was, and deep in our territory. I think both of them were deep in our own territory. So very ballsy calls by Mario on both occasions. Defensively, one bright side I can look at, on third downs, we held Louisville to 3rd and 12 on third down. 3 of 12, on third down conversions. Problem was, they converted 3 of 3 fourth downs. So, those getting off the field situations, defense wasn't good at converting on those. But one thing that was a huge positive that I don't think enough people are talking about, I know the dumb penalties this season have been a major concern for fans. Miami only had 5 penalties for 55 yards. Okay, that's pretty good. If you could hold it around that 50 or so yard mark or lower, you're in pretty good shape. If you can average that, you're okay. We all know that 2 of them were absolute BS. I talked about the defensive holding at the very end of the game. On the first drive, the touchdown that they took off the board, Xavier Restrepo came on a drag route, turned up the sideline, and scored. I mean, there was like a moment where Elijah Arroyo just grazed the defender's arm coming across. I guess maybe because he reached a little bit that they called it, but I mean, it was literally a graze. He like barely touched him. And even if he didn't touch him, the defender was behind X anyway. I don't think he would have caught him. So that was ticky-tack at best. I mean, like, I wouldn't even call that borderline. That was like, 8 or 9 out of 10 times I see that interference called. I've seen way worse not called. Let's put it that way. So they took 4 points off the board for us there because we ended up settling for a field goal. And then that leaves us just with 3 penalties that were like a false start here, a holding there, whatever it was. So much better job by the team cleaning up the penalties. Majority of the penalties were BS calls, yes. No, and how about this? If you watch the D-line, like I watch the trenches a lot, our defensive ends were getting held a lot. Barron got held a couple of times. Bain got held a couple of times. Bain had a huge sack towards the end of the game. He got the sack, so I guess it doesn't matter, but he got obviously, like clear as day, held. There was a hold on, it was a little bit away from the play, but still, if you're going to call it, you got to enforce the rules. So there was a hold on the kickoff return that they scored for a touchdown. Look, I'm of the opinion that holding happens like every other play. So either let it go unless it's egregious or call every single one. Like, don't just pick your spots. There was a definite hold there. And there was also, let me see if I can find it. I took a note of it. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw, some people screen grabbed it and posted it on X. Did you see Jaden Harris, after a play was over, he pulls Colin Lacey out of bounds, or he gets like dragged out of bounds. It was with 2:49 left in the second quarter. Just straight up gets punched in the face by Colin Lacey. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. If you didn't, go back. I know the full game highlights aren't out yet, or the full game video's not out yet, but the 20-minute highlight reel is there, and that was one of the plays. Colin Lacey makes a good catch along the sideline, makes a guy miss, and Jaden Harris goes to drag him out of bounds, and way out of bounds, Jaden's on the ground. Dude just hauls off and punches him in the face. And no call. So all the people that want to complain that, the fumble by Cam Ward late in the game should have stood, which it shouldn't have. His arm was moving forward. They made the correct call. I'm sorry. There were a lot of missed calls and blown calls throughout this game. More on Louisville's favor than on ours, so miss me with that. Let's see what else. Miami won time of possession, 34 minutes and 18 seconds to 25-42. I think that helped wear down their defense a little bit. But if we did that, that's unsportsmanlike. Yeah, 100%. In the SEC, they reverse pass interference. ACC should adopt that. I mean, there's some egregious pass interference calls every Saturday. They're just around the country. So, yeah, I have my opinions on pass interference too. Love the stream. Thank you, sir. I wish we could see more passes to the tight end. The run game was nice to see. Fletcher is that dude. At the end of the day, what matters is wins. We're 7-0. Go Canes. Thank you, Cane fan from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Oh, so you're in LSU country. All right. So, by the way, let me know if do you wear Canes gear when you're out there? Because you must get it hard from those fans. Oh, by the way, congrats to Popo, by the way, for getting his first collegiate touchdown, pouncing on that loose ball that was in the end zone. Great play by the defense. That was Simeon Barrow and Ruben Bain combining on that tackle, jarring the ball loose. Huge play early in the game. Really, that's when we should have started pulling away, but Louisville made their plays, got back in the game. Yeah. Thank you, Grandpa Jim, for bringing this up. So Brown and Martinez, I need to talk about them. So if you were to give your 3 stars for the game, you know how in hockey they don't just do one player of the game, they do 3. So if I had to pick 3 stars for this game, I mean, number 1 is Ward, obviously. Number 2, right behind him, would be Damian Martinez for me. Damian Martinez, 12 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, you would have thought he had like 20 carries for a $180 the way he was running. But no, he made the most of his carries though. 12 carries for 89. I think he had like 7.4 yards a carry. On multiple occasions, dragging bodies, dragging 4, 5, 6 tacklers with him for huge gains. Damian Martinez was running angry. And I think he and Sammy Brown both heard the criticisms for the last few weeks, and they played much better, man. They stepped up. And of course, I just gave it away. My 3rd star of the game would be Sam Brown. 3 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. Almost scored a 2nd touchdown, almost broke away from the pack late in the game. But that was a huge play to start that drive to kind of ice it. Yeah, huge showing by him. I mean, I know most of Brown's game is kind of catching it in the open space and letting his speed take over, but I think they schemed it the right way for him. They put him in the right position to succeed, getting him in the open field where he has the angle on a few tacklers and just go. I want to see Sam Brown used more in that way because his speed is a threat. So great game by him. I don't remember him having any drops. The only drop I remember all day was Restrepo on that diving attempt. I mean, it would have been a sensational catch if he made it, but he didn't. But I think that was the only drop we had all day. So receivers all stepped up. Tight ends stepped up big time in blocking. They didn't have a lot of targets. But yes, Grandpa Jim, also, I know you mentioned that. No, not a lot of targets for the tight ends, but that hasn't been every week. Look, we put 52 points on them. The offense was an A+ yesterday. I really have no complaints. But the tight ends have gotten a lot more targets this year. Hold on one second. Take a little victory sip of my coffee. Booby. Do I still play College 25? I don't do the shows anymore, unfortunately. I wanted to continue them once I found some time to. I had some technical difficulties with the streaming software I was using. For whatever reason, there was some update and it wasn't compatible. And I went online. I Googled like how to fix it. I use OBS Studio, by the way. And if any streamers had this problem, let me know. But I used OBS and I Googled, there was like 4 or 5 different fixes you can use to fix the problem so you can actually keep streaming. I tried all of them. None of them worked. And I just got frustrated. And I wanted to you know what? I'm enjoying the game on my own. I want to keep playing. I want to hold up my dynasty, because this shit's not working. So I just kind of gave up or just put it to the side for now. But yeah, that's what happened. I was having some technical issues with that. I would love to get restarted with that. Maybe next off season, once College 26 comes out, maybe I can try it again. I was having fun with it. I think I did like 4 or 5 games, and I know you guys are giving me some good comments and I appreciate that. But yeah, it just also that plus a lot of other stuff going on in my life with work and everything. I was like, I had to drop one thing and it was that. Also, once the season starts and this ramps up, I get a lot busier. Yes, sir. And rock the decals on the power whack. Oh yeah. Nice. That 14-point swing in the third almost made me lose my mind. Yeah, me too. Even though there was a hold on that kickoff return. Let me ask you guys this. What the hell are we doing kicking it to them? I believe it was Colin Lacey that scored. He's their main kick returner. The first couple of returns, he had like a couple returns that he got out to like the 30 and made a couple guys miss and stuff. So once you see that happening as a coach, I'm kicking it through the end zone every time. I'm not, no. I'm eliminating this threat completely. I'm taking that off the table. Borregales has more than enough leg. Shout out to Flag, by the way, who, in our chat. I don't know if he's listening, but yeah, he mentioned exactly what I was thinking in our chat. He's like, what the hell are we doing not kicking it through the end zone? Take that threat away from them. They have athletes. They got speed. Why are you giving them a chance to score on a kickoff return? That flips the momentum of the game. Yeah, I did not like that at all. And then the fumble was bad. Our only turnover, though, I said if we keep it to one turnover or less, we should be fine, and we were. We need to troll the haters by having the review booth on our shirts. That's funny. Tight end use. I don't think we use a tight end all game. Yeah, for whatever reason, the tight ends were not. Yeah, they were not part of the game plan. I don't know why. Maybe they were being covered well. I don't know, but they did a good job blocking. And offense, again, we scored 52 points. I have no complaints. The offensive game plan was the offensive game plan, and it worked. I think we just wanted to take advantage of their secondary on big chunk plays. And, we got weapons on the outside. So those were the first options, I guess. So, that's how it ended up panning out. Let's see if there's anything I forgot to go over. So on defense, okay, we'll get into the negatives now on defense. First, I want to say Bain played a very good game. Barron, especially later in the game, was in the quarterback's face a lot while getting held. Simeon Barrow, hell of a game. He's been super valuable. They all played solid. One shout out I got to give is Jadis Richard. Jadis Richard got a lot of criticism in past weeks. He did not play well at all. In this game, he played much better. He made a few plays, knocked away a couple passes downfield. He made a couple of nice tackles in the open field. He looked much better. So I was happy to see Jadis wake up a little bit. I have to go back and watch the tape of the entire game, to see if, was he getting beat still on other plays that maybe I didn't notice. I have to look at that, but he stood out to me as a guy that made like a few good defensive plays. So that was good to see from him. Good to see him wake up a bit. But the defense, yeah, they played bad. No way around that, especially the secondary. So, well, really the back seven. At times the linebackers got lost in coverage. They kind of picked it up in the second half. They were making a few more plays. They were staying with their man a little bit better. But it was very up and down. Like they'll make a good play and then a bad play, a good play, then a bad play. So, I really hope they continue working on that. The open field tackling was, in general, pretty bad. That really has to be worked on, and in a hurry. I know we face FSU this week, and they're not very good, but still, tackling is like literally the most important part of football, and you cannot let small plays turn into big ones. We also have to do a better job swarming to the ball carrier. I think we've kind of lost that in recent weeks. So I want to see more energy. It is a rivalry game coming up, so I think the energy will be there. I think we're gonna be swarming on their ball carriers. So I'm not too concerned on the energy aspect of it. I'm not concerned about how fired up we're going to be, because we'll be prepared. It's just cleaning up the poor technique on tackling, because it was bad, really bad. So got to work on that. Could be wrong here, but do you think our defensive back end is a concern, or do you think it's more middle of the field defensive issue? I think our middle of the field. That's a good observation, because I even made the comment watching the game that the middle of the field looks so vulnerable. Not as much like deep down the sidelines, although we got hit a little bit there too, but it was mostly middle of the field. I agree with you there. It's just more stuff they got to clean up. But two other major concerns earlier in the season that have been cleaned up, and I'm not concerned about at all, are the running game, which, looks fantastic. Fletcher, Martinez, even A.J. Allen had a big carry in the game when he scored the touchdown. Well, he had a few big carries, actually. The entire running game looks so much better. And that was a pretty good D-line we were playing against. Not a good secondary, but a good D-line we were playing against. And that was a good showing by our run game and our offensive line. The other thing was the penalties. Like I mentioned earlier, we've really cleaned that up in this game. I hope that continues. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot with a bad 15-yarder after the play. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot with a face mask, anything that could be avoidable. Holding, things like that, that's heat of the moment, heat of the battle. I'm not too mad at holding usually. But yeah, those two things have really been cleaned up. The only thing left to clean up now is the secondary. Starting linebackers are not that good. I mean, again, we went up against maybe the best play caller in the ACC, one of the best in the country, who loves making linebackers look silly. Let's see how we show up this week. I don't think our linebackers are bad in any way. Wes has had a really good season. Not the best game yesterday. Kiko has been up and down. I saw him make a few good plays, a few not so good plays, is what it is. But that room is one of the rooms that they're revamping. I mean, you see how aggressively they're recruiting linebackers and secondary in this upcoming class, and there's a reason for that. It really needs to be replenished with talent, with athleticism, with speed, and we're getting there. You know, you got a guy like Damari already on the team. You got OJ Frederic. You know, you're starting to get pieces, but it takes a while to raise the talent level. But you also have to develop the guys you have as well. That needs to be said. But yeah, I would love Damari to come back soon. I don't know when he's coming back. I think him being back healthy makes a massive difference, because that's literally one side of the field locked down, or just that's one assignment that you're not going to have to worry about, because that's one option that the quarterback's not even going to look that way. And if you test him deep, it's going to be a pick or it's going to be an incomplete. So he takes away a big portion of the other team's offense just being out there. We saw it early in the Florida game. The only thing concerning about FSU is that they literally have nothing to lose. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I'm pretty sure the starting left tackle got injured last week. We need to put out a over-under number of sacks. Listen, I just hope we show up and dominate. That's it. I don't care how we do it. I don't care, I don't care how, if it's if we just put 50, 60 points on them, or if it's more of a defensive showing that we just shut them out, whatever it is, just dominate. I don't care how you do it. With special teams, with defense, offense, I don't care. Our offense is going to get theirs. But yeah, if they're starting left tackles out, and I mean, they've been really banged up on their O-line. I really hope our D-line tees off on them. But at the same time, hold your assignments. Don't get overly aggressive, because I think they're hoping we get overly aggressive, and that's where they can take a little bit of advantage on us. Man, I can't talk today. Apologize for that, guys. Yeah, their only hope is that if we're over aggressive and they take advantage, they can gash us with some screens, or halfback screens, tunnel screens, things like that. Just kind of hang back, make your plays, keep the plays in front of you, kind of like the game plan against Louisville. Notice we played a lot more zone, kind of like defending against the big over-the-top plays, which we did a good job of. But then if you can't tackle in the open field, keeping them in front of you to small, those small little chunk plays doesn't matter, because they're going to get past you anyways. So we at least did a good job of that, taking away the deep pass. But I think FSU doesn't quite have the athletes that Louisville has. So I'm not as concerned about that. Is it talent on defense or Guidry? I'm leaning towards Guidry. That's the question. First thing I got to say is injuries, because that matters. Injuries are definitely a bit of an issue just because of who's hurt. Damari Brown is like the last guy you wanted to lose in the secondary. We lost him week 1. So losing him was massive. And Daryl Porter, for whatever reason, I mean, maybe he's playing a little bit out of position. But Daryl Porter hasn't looked like himself. He didn't look like the guy from last year that had an amazing coverage grade all season. And then, Jadis Richard, he finally had a much better game this week, but he wasn't good the first few games. I just think it's definitely both, to answer your question. I don't want to sound like a cop-out answer, but there's two aspects here. There's execution. I mean, it's tackling. You can't blame Guidry for the tackling, honestly. Tackling is on the player. Even though Guidry is also the safeties coach and Coach Chevis Jackson is the corners coach, they can maybe make some suggestions and tweaks, but I think tackling, that's just reps. That's just getting in extra work. That's working on your technique. it's partially coaching, but ultimately that's on the player putting in the work to like get better at it. I put some blame on Guidry, the way he was scheming things up in past weeks. I think overall as a team, I thought, you might not agree with it, but I thought as a team we played significantly better than we did against Cal, and significantly better than we did against Virginia Tech in the first half. If we played this way against Cal, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. If we played the way we played yesterday, if we played like that against Cal the entire game, we win by 3 touchdowns. Because they didn't have Tyler Shuck. Mendoza's a good quarterback, but he's not Tyler. I don't think he's Tyler Shuck. They didn't have a Ja'Cory Brooks. They didn't have, Colin Lacey. They didn't have Isaac Brown. Those guys are superior athletes to the guys that Cal has, in my opinion. So if we had showed up like that with the fast start that we got off to offensively, especially, I think we beat Cal by at least 3 touchdowns. So that's why I think overall we played better. We just played against a much better team. And people might not give Louisville that credit. I do. Their only losses were against a close one against a very good SMU team, and another loss against Notre Dame, where really the weather is what messed with them the most. I think that's a much more competitive game, maybe even a Louisville win, if not for the wet ball. That could have been a different game. So Louisville's a pretty good team. So it was a good win. Ugly, sloppy at times, some mistakes, but not nearly as bad as recent weeks. It wasn't a nail biter the way the other ones were. Offense really showed up. They took care of the football. There was no dumb penalties after plays. And again, Cam's arm was coming forward. I don't see the controversy in that. So that one shouldn't be up for debate, really. But it's a good win. Again, a game that I had as a loss coming into the season. So I'm happy simply for that. Now you got a chance to get a dominant victory against your rival at home. This one's big for recruiting. You got a nice list of visitors coming in. So you really want to show up and show out. But yeah, my ADD took over there, Peanut. But yes, to answer your question more succinctly, it was both. It's players and Guidry. They both have to take accountability, in my opinion. Secondary simply lacks the talent. I don't blame coaching. Yeah, I mean, certain guys I don't think have developed the way I thought they would. A lot of people are saying coaching. Talent. It's talent, not coaching. The defensive scheme is fine. Players are in position, just not that talented. Yeah, I mean, I liked the scheme yesterday. I had no problem with it. It was a lot more zone, and you just wrap up and bring the guys to the ground. It's over much sooner than it was. NCAA needs to let the handcuffs off these programs in the offseason and let the guys practice. Tackling is a college football problem. I do notice the problem around the country, but I saw other games like Alabama, Tennessee. There was much better tackling in that game. I saw I think the entire fourth quarter of that game, and I was watching the tackling specifically. I'm like, let's see how we compare against teams like this, and they were doing a much better job making open field tackles than we were. So, maybe it's a little bit more of a talent issue than Guidry. But that's the process of building a program. But I think reinforcements are coming in the secondary. John, steal the recruiting nuggets from Flo and come back and let us know. Yeah. Rocky, are you on the Discord? Yeah, I know he gives his nuggets every week. Let's see. I was at the game, John. In my opinion, some players shouldn't keep playing if they can't execute. Players were in position, just didn't make the plays. No, 100%, Brandon. 100%. We saw more Zaquan Patterson in the game. You tell me, I mean, you were at the game, so you can see more of the field. It looked to me like Zaquan Patterson. That dude's ready to go. He made a couple of nice plays. So, but I don't know if you were watching him. You tell me what you saw. Something definitely happened week 1 at Florida. It was all gang tackles. Yeah, we were doing like I said, a much better job swarming to the ball. He played really well. Yep. Yeah, that's what I saw on TV. Yeah, something. I think what happened was, and I talked about this earlier in the season, teams are spreading us out more and forcing us to make more plays one-on-one. And it's been working. Florida didn't do that. Florida did it a little bit early, but then they found themselves in a position where they couldn't really do it as much. They couldn't do the quick stuff. They had to go more drop back, and that's when we just ate on defense. Yeah, and them, aside from the one play, them running the ball, forget it. We stuffed them. That Gator beatdown is looking better and better every week. Listen, I'll mention this about the Gators. The Gators should be 5-2 right now. The Gators should be 5-2 and ranked. They had Tennessee like with their pants down, and like they were ready to take over that game, but then a bad fumble on the goal line, some bad coaching. I mean, they literally and figuratively fumbled that one away. They had Tennessee on the ropes. And Tennessee's not a bad team. As we just saw yesterday, they beat Alabama. So, and then the Gators beat down Kentucky. Kentucky's always like a tough, scrappy team. They just destroyed them. DJ Lagway, that guy's the truth. So yeah, it was a good win by the Gators yesterday. I think they're a little bit better than I thought, honestly. And they're a little bit better than the 4-3 record shows, because if they get the win against Tennessee, their only two losses are against number 6 Miami and number whatever Texas A&M, who's also really good. Communication needs to be better on the back end of the defense. The motion on opposing teams is giving us problems. Too many players confused about what to do. Yeah, you're coming with the fire, Brandon. You're hitting it on the head, man. That is absolutely true. Let's see. There was one that Jim Beam in the cup. No, not today. Just coffee. Yeah, if anything, the Jim Beam might make me more relaxed. It might make the words flow out smoother. I'll remember that for next time. Fun fact: if FSU just took the knee on every play on offense except fourth down to punt, they would have beaten Duke 7-6 because 17 of Duke's points came off turnovers. Wow. That's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised because I saw some of that game and it was such a bad, sloppy game. I didn't see the game when I was at my dad's birthday, but we took him out with my kid, but I kept the game. I kept up with the game. I was able to see the last 15 minutes. Gotcha. Worst angles I've seen by tacklers. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. A lot of times our safeties are like 15 yards. They're breaking down like 15 yards away from the ball carrier instead of like running up to get close to him. They're breaking down to make the tackle like way back here. And that just lets the ball carrier like, okay, I'll go this way and go right around them. The one at the end of the first half was like, oh my God, where he almost scored. Luckily, we brought him down at like the 3. They only had a couple of seconds left. The bright side of that play was it drained the clock a little bit, so they had to settle for the field goal. Thank God. But yeah, in those situations where we kind of have them like 3rd and forever or 4th and forever, and they, they're just trying to get in field goal range or something. Our DBs just have to come in and clean it up. We're terrible at those right now. And that's why, like, 10 points, the field goal at the end of the first half and the touchdown at the very end of the game, those are 10 points that with proper tackling, they don't happen. And the score looks the score looks much closer to reality than it really was. I can see us giving up 25 to 30 points on Sunday. Don't say that, Brian. Please don't do that to me. That would kill me. Okay. They got to make sure and win this freaking game. Okay. And win like by at least 2 or 3 touchdowns. Worst case. Best case scenario, they go out and win like 45-16, which is what I'm expecting. No, but if they hold them under 20, I'm good. The worst thing I saw in the game was that they called us for a pick. Yes, they called us for a pick play, and then on the next drive by Louisville, offensive guy literally turns around and jumps backwards into our guy. No call. There was that, and then there was the one on Kiko. That dude literally dove at his legs as he's trying to like chase or make the tackle or whatever. Yeah. At least be consistent. If you're going to call the one against us on the first drive of the game, at least call that one. Because that probably, I mean, that would have knocked him back 10 yards or whatever the penalty is, and maybe would have forced him to a field goal. I did see that touchdown that Cam threw at the back of the end zone. Yeah. No, that was a dime. That was, I don't know if you noticed, that was the exact same play that was like the backbreaker against Florida that he hit Jacoby George coming across the back of the end zone. Exact same play. What are your thoughts on Texas now after the loss to Georgia? I mean, they're one of the best teams in the country for sure. Georgia, like I thought, was kind of in neutral for the first half of the season. They did this last year. They played some close games, and all of a sudden they put the throttle down. I think Georgia's going to start doing that now because they may not have like 6 or 7 first rounders like they did on that last championship team on defense, but their defense is still elite. And they're a big play team. I mean, a big game team. They show up for big games, and that was the biggest game they've played in a while. And my God, they showed up. I mean, I did not expect Georgia to shut down Texas's offense the way they did. I mean, they just completely shut them down. So Texas, I still have them clearly as a top 5 team. They're a great team. I know they haven't really played anybody, but Georgia is like, Georgia's still Georgia, man. They still are. I'm not gonna, say that, oh, I was unimpressed by that one Mississippi State game or whatever. Look, sometimes great teams don't get up for those games. It happens, but you got to measure them against these types of teams. And Georgia, to me, they're legitimately a top 3 team right now. Yes, they had the one really bad half against Alabama where they just couldn't control Jalen Milroe. But once they started to control Jalen Milroe, they took control of that game, came back and got the win. Right now, that's their only loss. But they're starting to look like Georgia again. And I think they still are. So Georgia, to me, is a top 3-4 team. I'm fine with them being ahead of us because I do think they're a better team. Texas, I think, if Georgia jumps up to like, I don't know, Georgia's 5th right now, Georgia should be like, actually, no, like 2nd or 3rd. And then Texas, probably like 5th. That's where the ranking should come out. That's the one I'm talking about with Kiko. Yeah. Did you see the pic of Guidry sitting on steps by himself? Wanted to confirm that was after the Louis. Oh, no, I didn't see that pic. Yeah, he was probably pissed. I wouldn't be surprised. Georgia, for you, is still at the top. Right now, I mean, Oregon's undefeated, right? Oregon, and they got a win against Ohio State. So I put Oregon number 1. I put Georgia number 2. Ohio State probably number 3. And then, yeah, Texas like number 4, number 5. We're probably staying at 6. Again, that's fine. We still need to get that like marquee win or at least start dominating some of these teams that we're playing. One of the two. One of the two needs to happen for us to really creep into that top 5, top 3. Brom complaining about the non-fumbles ridiculous. Yeah, that seems to be a running theme now with coaches kind of whining and bitching about one call when, yeah, but you also gave up all these plays and you also you had us on the ropes and you let us back into the game. Penn State. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Yeah, Georgia. No, I would put Oregon. I put Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, Texas 5. So Oregon and Georgia is the only one I would flip. Everybody in the ACC soft. I ain't worried about nobody but the Canes. Yeah, just win the ACC, man. Or at least run the table in the regular season. Because if for whatever reason you get to the ACC championship, you face Clemson and you don't win. That's a possibility because Clemson is really, really, really good. I think Arguably, they're the best team in the ACC right now, but let's see. Hopefully, we meet them head to head. So say you don't win that one, you finish 12-1. You could still sneak in based on your ranking. So that's why these rankings are kind of starting to matter. But again, we need to start like getting a few dominant wins to really cement ourselves. Because if we go 12-0, but every game is like one possession, that doesn't look so good. But I was answering somebody's question and I lost it. Sorry about that. Cam on the Dolphins is a good old line. Can you imagine Cam Tyreek's a little older, but you imagine Cam throwing to like Jalen Waddle and like whatever wide receivers they go and pick up. That would be fun. Lashley Express versus SMU's playing Duke this weekend. That's right. That should be a fun one. Oregon hosts Illinois next week, which might be more interesting than most would think. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I'll log off now in a few minutes, but how about Indiana just annihilating Nebraska? I did not think that was going to happen. I thought Nebraska would at least keep it close. I believe in Indiana, like their quarterback's legit and their coach is legit. But man, I did not see them putting 60-something points on them. That was insane. Biggest home game Indiana's had in like ever, maybe. Let's see if I missed anything else. Scheme and strategy also play a huge role, as well as being out of position. So I would say defensive coaching, but also player execution. Yeah, it's. I agree with you, John. It's both. Both are happening right now. Let's see. DBs playing like you see little leaguers playing like they're scared. Yeah. Me being greedy, I want to shut out, but if we score 10-15, I'll be happy with that. But if they score 10-15, not us. No, we're going to score a lot more than that. SMU will destroy Duke. Yeah, I hope so. Mike Shanahan as OC of Indiana, killing it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Indiana looks legit, man. They really do. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got, guys. I'm not going to do my prediction for the FSU game just yet. I'll do that Tuesday. But just wanted to sit here and recap the last game with you guys. As sloppy as it was on defense and as much as we need to fix, I saw some improvements in other areas. I didn't see us fall behind at any. I don't think we trailed in the game at any point. We were tied a couple of times, but I didn't see us trail at any point. We got ahead and we stayed ahead, which is kind of what I expected for this game. I just didn't expect it to, I didn't expect us to give up 45 points, but it is what it is. But we got the W. That's the most important thing. We are going into the FSU game undefeated. That game is going to be insane. It's going to be that much crazier, us going into it undefeated. Massive for recruiting, like I said before. And that's it. We just got to make sure and take care of business, man. Make sure and take care of business. Brandon, what is 7-3? What is 7-3, Brandon? Tell me quick because I'm logging off soon. Let's see. Nakam, McCord can't run. Mine is Georgia. Mine is Georgia Tech just because of Syracuse and Georgia Tech, I think, could be a bit of a threat. Those two games, make me a little bit nervous. But yeah. Trailed. Oh, we trailed in the first quarter 7-3. You're right. I remember that. But I think that was it. That was very early in the game. I'm saying we didn't find ourselves in a huge hole like we did in the last two. So that was good to see. Anyways, guys. Oh, and Playing Time, thank you very much for the donation. Always appreciated. But yeah, that's it for me. Going to log off. Enjoy the rest of my Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy yours. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday. As always, go